Hello everybody, today we are going to discuss a question from class 11 economics chapter 10, that is comparative development experiences of India and its neighbors. So the question is, compare and contrast India and China sectoral contribution towards GDP in 2003. What does it indicate? Answer: the comparison of India's and China's sectoral contribution towards their respective GDP can be done with the help of the data tabulated below. So the sectors are primary, agriculture, secondary, industry, tertiary, service. Contribution to GDP in percentage in the year 2003. India contributed 23% towards the primary sector, while China contributed 15% towards the primary sector in 2003. India contributed 26% towards the industry, that is the secondary sector, while China contributed 53% to the industry in the year 2003. Now, India contributed 51% to the tertiary, that is service sector, while China contributed 32% towards the service sector in the year 2003. Contribution of primary sector to GDP. The data above reveals that the contribution of the primary sector to India's GDP is 23% compared to 15% of China's GDP. This confirms the agrarian nature of the Indian economy. Contribution of secondary sector to GDP. The data also reveals that China has comparatively a strong industrial base as compared to India. The contribution of secondary sector to China's GDP is 53% against the contribution of mere 26% to India's GDP. From this, we can infer that India's industrial sector is far behind than that of China. Contribution of tertiary sector to GDP. We can analyze that although India's industrial sector is not as strong as that of China, yet the contribution of India's service sector is much stronger to its GDP than that of China. Thus, analyzing the above data helps us to conclude that a significant portion of India's GDP is contributed by the tertiary sector, followed by its agricultural sector. On the contrary, the major contributor to China's GDP is the secondary sector, followed by its tertiary sector. India showed a direct shift from the primary sector to tertiary sector. This is due to the fast integration. The process of economic growth has led to a tremendous shift in the sectoral share of output and employment. The percentage share of the primary sector in total output and employment tends to decrease, while that of secondary and tertiary sector tends to increase. The following facts explain the sectoral share in output and employment of India and China. The following facts explain the sectoral share in output and employment of India and China. Both India and China have shown a noticeable structural transformation from the primary sector to the other two sectors. The primary sector in both the countries is no longer the important contributor to the nation's GDP. While India is relying more on its tertiary sector, China is relying more on its secondary sector in terms of the sectoral contribution to their GDP. The experience of China is similar to that of the other developed countries in the world. The experience of the developed countries shows that secondary sector followed by the tertiary sector emerge as the leading sectors of the economy of these two economies with other market economies of the world compared to China. Compared to China, India showed a direct shift from the primary sector to the tertiary sector. This is due to the fast integration of these two economies with other market economies of the world. Thank you. For such content, please subscribe to Intellify.